Welcome back. So happy you made it. We're gonna cook up a little pozole, some wonderful Mexican stew made with pork and hominy. And we're gonna go through it step by step. It's a very simple process. And we're gonna get this done and our family's gonna love it. They love pozole. Pozole? I think it's pozole. Anyway, here we go. Let's cook. The first thing we have to do is we have to prep for our pork stock. So what we're going to start with is our pork shoulder butt roast bone in. And this is 8.5 pounds of pork and bone. And I like it because it has the bone in it, which is going to give our broth a lot more flavor. So we'll have a good harmony of pork and hominy. How's that? That's a tongue twister. Anyway, we're going to take this apart here in the sink. I'm going to put it on this cutting board. So let's do that and get this thing moving. I am going to leave all the fats and all the trimmings. I'm not going to trim anything. Everything is going into the stock pot. And I have my huge stock pot over here. A little trash bag here. I will rinse it a little bit with some cold water just to make sure I can get a little bit of this pork juice off of it. And flip it over. And there's our fat cap, and I'm going to leave all of that. You can trim it if you want. If you feel like it's too much for you, you can trim it. All of this is going up here. I have a big old giant water paper towel. So I'm just going to pat it dry. Mainly so it won't be dripping everything all over my counter on my floor. I always have the big chunky pieces. If you cut them in 1-inch squares, by the time they cook down, they're going to be so tiny. I just don't find it enjoyable. But when you have a nice big piece that's shrunk down and it's still fairly large, it's so nice to pull it apart and enjoy it. So here's the bone right here. So we're just going to cut down to the bone, and we're going to cut around it, cut it off, and make some big chunks. So we're going to do that right now. And I have my bony knife, and I'm going to take this down to the bone just like this. And it doesn't have to be perfect at all. We just got to get this big piece where we can cut it into some chunks, some nice big chunks, and you can see how the meat just kind of goes. So it's very compartmentalized. So here's a big chunk right here. Make sure your knife is good and sharp, like I always say. There's that piece, and my bone's right there, so I'm going to come this way. Yep. And then I've got this over here. I can cut off the bone too. And I know all you butcher people out there are going like, oh my gosh, I can't believe her do this. But this is stew. I'm not trying to make a pretty roast out of it. Now, if you wanted to, you could put the whole thing in the pot. Don't take it apart. Don't cut it into chunks. When it's done, you can take it apart and shred it if you like yours shredded. Some people do. I like mine to be in big chunks. And then this whole bone with all the meat and the fat attached to it, I might take that fat off though. Goes straight into the stock pot. Bone and all, okay? Now this is the size of chunks I want. So that's pretty good, it's ready to go. good there. Here's our aromatics. I have my Mexican seasoning, and this already has Mexican oregano in it. You can add extra if you want, but I'm gonna, whoops, dang, I made a mess there. I'm gonna add a good 2 tablespoons of Mexican seasoning to that. I got 3 bay leaves going in. I got 3 garlic cloves. You can add more if you want, but when we finish, we'll be adding more garlic when we finish up our stew at the end. I have a half of white onion, just chunky, 2 celery sticks, and some carrot sticks going in. So all of that's done. Now we're going to take this to the sink, and we're going to add water to just over the top. Then we're going to put the lid on it and take it to the stove. And here we go. We're ready to go. I'm going to put it on my high heat burner. If you have a high heat burner, then that's where I would think you need to start with this size of a pot to get it to a roaring boil. So we're going to get it there, a roaring boil. There's my pot holder. And then once it's there, we're going to turn it back to a simmer, and we're going to allow it to simmer for at least 1 hour. All right, it's going and it's ready to go. We're going to let it simmer. We're going to skim it every so often. We're going to check it every so often, and then I will see you back in an hour. So it's been an hour, maybe a little over an hour, and our pork has been simmering away. So it's time to see what we look like. I've already skimmed it. We've stirred it well. Look at that. Looks yummy. So this is what we have. I'll set my lid back here. Everything's really hot. And we're going to take our meat out. Oh yeah, that looks good. When we get it out, we can see how tender it is. But I'm going to take the meat out. I'm not worried about the little bits of onions. Okay, so there's that. So I am going to take this to the sink, and I'm going to strain it into a separate pot. And then it's going to go through that strainer and into the pot, and be very careful because it's very hot broth. Now if you want all the veggies in there, you just go right for it. I'm not going to be too picky. I'm not going to put the bone back. And then, want to see how tender we are here. You can you see that? Oh yeah, we're pulling apart. Look at that. That's what we want. It's perfect. Just like that. Oh yeah, that tastes so good. Now, I am going to put my chilies in here. What I have in my bowl here is the red chili mole we made, and you can see it on the video. We made it a few weeks back, and I put it in the freezer. So, and this is the last of it. I'm so sad. I'm gonna have to make more. But this is 4 cups of red chili sauce, red chili mole. And then I have 1 cup of the chili stock left, and it's in here as well. So we're gonna put all of this, 4 cups plus the chili stock, makes 5 cups, okay, of chilies. I'm gonna stir it around really good so you can see there's all our chili down in there. And now I'm gonna add enough stock just to coat the top of it and let it simmer, but we'll get it going, then we can taste it. And you see this big right here, that's a frozen chili packet. So it's still not thawed, it's straight out of the freezer into the pot. So I'm thinking at least 3 cups of stock, maybe 4. And this is a 1 cup ladle. If you don't have one of these, it's the best thing because you can measure it as you go. That's 2, 3, and 4. Now remember, we've got hominy to go in here yet. So I'm going to stir that all together. We're going to let it come back to a little simmer. We're going to let our chili melt down, and if we need to, After it's all melted and blended and simmered for about 20 minutes, we're gonna give it a good taste and see what we need to do to adjust. All right, I'm gonna get this going and I'll see you back in 20 minutes. Welcome back. It's been about 30 minutes, a little longer than 20, but they've been simmering on, so let's take a peek. See what we got going here. Oh, that looks so good. So what we're gonna do is stir this up a little bit, give it a taste, see if our broth needs anything, and then we're going to add our hominy. So this is really hot. Now the hominy is gonna be salty, so I really don't wanna salt it at this point. I just want to see how the Mexican seasoning tastes and so forth. Now we already know our pork is tender, so it's even more tender at this point. Hot. Oh, that's really good. I don't think it really needs anything. I think we're good to go. So we'll put the hominy in. We're gonna let it simmer for another 20 minutes so the hominy can absorb, and we may have to add more stock, and if we do, we will. So that's 3 cans of 15-ounce cans, so that'd be 45 ounces of white hominy, and I'm gonna stir it in and see how it takes on the red color. Oh yeah. And see how brothy and rich that broth is, just what we wanted. This is gonna be so good. In the kitchen, the whole house just smells so good when you walk in the door. So we're good to go. There we are. I'm not even gonna add any more broth. We're perfect at this point, and I'm gonna put the lid back on it, and we're ready to go. See you in 20 minutes. So we added our hominy. We've been simmering for 20 minutes. Now we're ready to check it out, do our last tasting to see if we need any salt or pepper. And we're gonna stir it up a little bit. Oh, look at that broth and the hominy and the pork chunks. Look at that, that is perfect. And see how they cook down. That's why we start out with really big chunks. And the hominy, that brown broth looks so good. So I'm going to just get a little bit of broth here because I did use canned hominy and it can add salt. I don't want to add any more salt, but we'll see if we need some. And I want to see how my Mexican seasoning is. You can see how nice and brothy that is. I think that's perfect. I'm not changing a thing. We're not gonna add anything to it. That's it. There we are, we're done. So I'm gonna get me a bowl. I'm gonna take it, put my traditional garnishes on it, and I'm gonna call this soup pozole. It's ready to go. There's me 2 big old chunks of pork right there. And then I'm getting me some of this good broth. Make sure I get some good, lots of hominy. We're gonna go garnish it. I got all the special garnishes ready to go. And then we get to dive in. I've got my shredded cabbage. And then I've got some thinly sliced radishes, fresh jalapenos that's been de-seeded. I've got my cilantro ready to go, of course, lime. Now, there's all kinds of variations on this. You can add some Mexican conchita cheese to crumble on the top. You can have avocados sliced and ready to go. The goal here is to have the nice, fresh, cool veggies on top of the hot soup. So you get a nice, cool, hot reflection, and they all kind of blend together. And you can eat it as well with tortillas, warmed tortillas, corn tortillas, flour tortillas, whatever you like, or corn chips even. I just like mine plain, but all of those options are out there. So I am going to add my little bit of my cabbage right on the top, a few pieces of radishes around. I'm going to add a couple of jalapenos over here on the side, a little bit of cilantro, and a squirt of lime. And then I'm going to drop my lime right in my soup. So after I squirt it in there, the whole thing is going in. Okay, so there we go. I got my soup, got my spoon, and you can put a little bit. Taste it up, make sure it's like you want it, and then come back and add more. So I want some crunchy with my nice tender pork. Here it is, a little piece of pork. And I just kind of break it all up in there so I can get me some out. Look at that. Now that's a bite. Might have to put that in half. Ooh. I think I'll stick a radish on the top of that too. Here we go. All right, here we go. Nice and hot. Don't want to burn my mouth off. Hot. But so good. You can do this. And you can use store-bought chili sauce. You don't have to make it, but if you want to, check out my video. It'll walk you through it. Make your pork stock. Don't use chicken stock, don't use beef stock. Make your pork, it just takes it over the top. So enjoy your pozole, and I will see you next week. Bye.